14th. Larry's back with us. So let's let him do what he needs to do right away. And then we'll take it from there. Now, folks, his chest is hurting really badly, and he needs to go back into the hospital for another treatment. And unless he can come up with some money for a copay, and that amount is $1,900 and something, they don't want to take him back in. So anything we can do to ding his PayPal while he's talking would be greatly appreciated. All right, we got 19 people here so far. Take it away, Larry.
All right, thank you. Hello, folks. I'm sorry about the way I've been hit and miss, being able to do the program, not being able to do the program, etc. There is good news. And I know it's not any of y'all, but for all the people all these years that have said, I wasn't really sick, I was faking it, then I guess we got the last laugh on them, if you want to call it a laugh. I spent 7 months in the hospital over something. So I need your help, and we've got basically 2 months. And what I want to tell you is a couple of things. First off, do y'all know what our goal is? Still, do we still know what our goal is? Do we? Well, if you go back, our original goal, number one, overall, is to get President Trump reelected. And then how to do that? How to do that is connected to our mission. And our mission is, as it has been, that if there is anyone in your group of friends, people that you associate with, make sure that everybody you know that is of like mind shows up and votes. That's right, shows up and votes. It's that simple. Let me ask you this, and I want y'all to respond, so Mary Ellen, let me know as they respond to this.
Okay.
How many of you will promise to go vote for President Trump if you know that your one vote will secure victory for it? How many of you would be certain to go vote? Huh?
Now remember, there's a delay, so it'll take a couple minutes before they answer.
I understand. But now, do y'all understand the simplicity of the question? Win or lose November 3rd depends on you, your vote. That's all. Your vote. If you will go vote November the 3rd and vote for President Trump, you will secure his victory. You believe that?
Yeah, we've got yes, I will for sure.
Okay. But now, how many of y'all believe that? How many of you are caught between, well, I want to believe it, but my vote is just one vote, so therefore my one vote can't possibly guarantee victory for President Trump, right?
In each precinct, it only takes one vote to flip it either way.
That's right. Let me tell you what's going to go on in this election. As if this is a this is kind of a test to see if any of you remember. You know, I've told you for years about the typical election, which is 40-40-20. 40% in this case would love Trump, 40% would hate Trump, and 20% would be undecided. And in most elections, he or she who wins the majority of the undecided votes wins the election. That's not this election. This election is closer to 50-50. People are so entrenched today that if they hate President Trump, there's nothing anybody can do to make them not hate him. Nothing. If they love President Trump, there's nothing anybody can do to make them turn on President Trump. It's a unique structure, this election cycle. Very unique. But the rules are simple. Rules are simple. We can't control what other people do. We can control only that which we do. Now, another little test, quiz here. What have I told you about your money? If you cannot reach out and touch your money, do you really have it? If you can't touch it, if you can't reach in your pocket and pull it out, do you really have your money? Mary Ellen, what's the answer to that?
No, if you can't touch it, somebody else can take it.
That's right. If you can't touch it, and it may be safe. I mean, I'm no financial guy. I mean, I'm not telling you, you know, it may be safe in a bank. It may be safe in a 401k. It may be safe, you know, in picking up Coke bottles. I don't know. But I do know this. In today's economy, in today's world, if you can't touch your money, I don't care how much money you think you've got. You may think you've got 10 because of $1 zillion. But if you can't reach out and touch every penny of it, you don't have it. It's in somebody else's place, in somebody else's name. You own it, of course, but they own it as well. Remember that?
Yep.
Now, here's where this stuff starts paying off for us. You've got one vote. One vote. Now, if you trust your one vote to be stuck in the mail, be handled by the post office, delivered to the precinct polling place to be counted, tabulated, do you really have your vote? The answer there is the same as it is with money. If you don't have the ballot in your hand, paper ballot, I would say, if you don't have it in your hand, you don't have your vote. Somebody else does. There's 1.8 million. 1.8 million, and this is as of this morning, blanket ballots going out throughout this nation. Various different states, more and some, less than others. And they're just sending them to addresses. And then when they send it to 1,000,008, we're to believe that you fill that out, take it to the post office, send it back in. Post office will gather all of those up. And then when they gather them up, then they'll turn them over to the polling place. They'll count them, and everything will be fine. That is not true.
All right, we've got Selena saying, I'm not mailing in my vote. And MM says, no mailing my
Good.
vote, only in person and paper ballot.
That's right. Now, back to our mission. My mission is to get you listening to me right now, is to get you to promise me, to promise this country, to promise our children, our grandchildren, that whatever you got to do come November the 3rd, you're going to proudly walk into your voting precinct and you're going to have a paper ballot in your hand and you're going to turn it in and verify that everything on your ballot is as you wanted it to be. It's my job. See that you do that. Now, if you'll do that, we have victory.
Okay, Larry, hang on.
What?
Gloria says we must all vote in person with a paper ballot. If we have an elderly friend or family member, either take them to vote or take their absentee ballot to the election supervisor's office.
You can do that, yes. But right now, with what time we've got remaining, I want everybody to stay focused. Please stay focused. Today, the mission is you. You guarantee me, Mary Ellen, to all the people on this call, to the President of the United States, guarantee us today that you will go present a paper ballot at your voting precinct, cross-reference everything, make sure it's filled out the way you want it filled out, and turn it in.
Okay, Sherry
That's the
says,
mission. I'm sorry?
Sherry says she's always been a patriot. I'll do whatever it takes.
Well,
that's what we need.
I know you are, Sherry. And a true patriot, as has most all of y'all. But it's time now. We have talked and talked and talked. Now, what day will it be when it's time for us to engage? That day is here today.
Okay, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Americana says, we have in the past hand-carried our absentee ballots directly to the supervisor of elections office. I did that in 2016, but they took my ballot and then they disappeared into the back room with it. I have no way of knowing if they just put it in the circular file.
Well, see, that's the problem. There are plenty of loopholes in this system, folks. Plenty. Mm-hmm. Plenty of ways for us to be cheated out of our country. Plenty. But remember what I told you. We can only be responsible for that which we can do. Not what somebody else does, what we can do. Now, if you go to your voting precinct with your ballot, paper ballot in hand, and they take it and then they say, okay, thank you very much, and then they start moving towards the back, under the understanding you'll probably never see or hear from that ballot again. Do yourselves a favor. If they take your ballot and start moving away back to the back, stop them. Stop them. Ask them where they're going with your ballot. And then they'll tell you, maybe a lie, but they'll tell you. And when they tell you, what I want you to do then is say, well, can I please have a copy of it with your signature saying that you did receive the ballot and this is in accordance with the way I voted. See, it's all about you controlling your vote. No one else. Not me. God help us, not the post office. Not Mary Ellen. You. And everything you have to do to verify your ballot gets turned in properly, gets verified and documented properly. That's your job. That is your job. That's your mission. Now, beyond that point, there's another part to your mission. That's part A, that's part B. Each one of us have what we're going to call a group of like-minded people that we communicate with, either on the internet, or however you get to people. What you need to do is make sure that everybody in your group of like-minded souls understand we need them to vote and to do exactly what you're going to do so that every vote is counted. And make sure they understand that if I can get everybody in my group of peers to show up November 3rd, turn in a paper ballot, get verification authentication of that ballot, signed, Trump wins. If we don't, he loses. And if he loses, we lose. Can you do that? How many of you are willing to do that?
I think
No excuses, no runs, no outs, no one left on base. How many of you will make the commitment today? Number one, that you will take care of your ballot first, and then that you will make sure that everybody in your group of like-minded souls go and cast their vote, just like you did. How many of you can do that? How many of you can promise or commit to do that? If you can, win.
Okay, Scott's asking, can I vote online, register to vote online? I'm not registered yet. I'm not either, Scott. That is top priority for me this week. I haven't done it yet today, but.
Well, what I wish you would do, Scott, all of you, and I know I'm not computer literate, all right? So, I'm the world's worst person to be dealing with computer stuffs. What I would feel safer with you doing is go to where you're supposed to vote and tell them this is the vote I want to cast. This is my paper ballot, and this is what I'm doing. Now, the registering part, I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can ask them, do you need to register on my line or whatever? But every time you get over line, we run the risk of losing something, mainly our country. Yes.
I think not every state allows for verification of your ballot. I know Maryland didn't 4 years ago.
I know. Now let me explain something, Maryland. Yes, there are many states that will tell you they will not allow. They do not have the facility to allow for verification of your vote. They're lying.
Really?
They're lying to you. All you want to do is say, here is my ballot. This is how I want it to be. May I please, and I've made a copy, go ahead and make a copy. Here's a copy of it, and I just need you to sign and date it stating that you received it from me. That's it. Make them do it. Make them do it. Because if you don't, remember the rule. If you don't have that vote in your hand, you don't have a vote.
And then you can use your cell phone to take a picture of it, so you got a copy of their signature.
Somebody knows how to do that. They certainly can. Folks, this election, it's almost over. And it's time for us to engage. Now is our time. Now, you must get on the internet. You must communicate to your group of friends, your, what do you call them, Facebook friends, and whatever you call all those, Twitter, all of that different stuff. Get on there and start communicating every day today, starting today. that everybody you talk to on the internet, on the telephone, however you talk to people, make sure they understand the rule. The rule is, if you don't have your vote in your hand and turn it in yourself, you have no idea how your vote just got cast. One thing you can fairly well bet on, likely as not, it didn't get cast officially the way you wanted it to. That's true. Let me tell you, there's a magic little trick with this 1.8 million open ballots going out blanket in the mail. Does anybody know what that little trick's all about? 1.8 million. Where did that number come from? Does anybody know?
Well, I do because you told me earlier.
Yeah, well, let me tell them.
Yep.
1.8 million votes. Wait a minute. 1.8 million ballots being turned in that we don't have control over. That 1.8 million just happens to be the magical number that in an election that is reasonably close, as this one will be, 1.8 wins. 1.8 million changes the outcome of the election from probably what we want to what they want. Isn't that a miraculous number? Isn't that something just out of the sky? Just out of nowhere, 1.8 million ballots just get flushed out into the marketplace.
Yep. What do we do with people who say their vote doesn't matter because the election's going to be stolen anyway?
Well, to those people that are saying that, what do you think I'm telling you today? I'm showing you how we're going to keep them from stealing the election. Now, there are things having to do with election fraud that Trump and some 1,200 attorneys, they're going to have to deal with some of it. That's true. It's out of our hands. But what I'm trying to share with you, all of you, is this. Control yours. Don't worry. Don't worry about anybody else's. You worry about yours. You made the commitment here today that you're going to walk into your voting precinct, you're going to hand them your paper ballot, where you already have a copy made, you're going to have them sign it stating that they received it and that it is the way way you filled it out. You do that, we've done our part. And then if you get other people in your group to do the same thing, then they will have done their part. And if we all do our part, guess what? We win. And don't be deceived. This is going to be one of the most crooked elections in the history of this nation. Do not be deceived. There are going to be tricks pulled that most of us, even in the trade, may have never even heard of by now. We can't control that. We control only that which we can do.
Gloria says not voting is a vote for the Democrats.
You got it. You got it. Well, let's do it this way. Not voting. If you don't go vote, folks, this is something you need to tell your friends. If you don't go vote yourself with your ballot in your hand, turn it over, all the things we've discussed here today. If you don't do that, then you voted for Joe Biden. Did you know that? You can't not vote in this election. If you don't vote, you voted. If you don't vote, you voted for Joe Biden. That's simple.
Okay.
That's the difference between a 40-40-20 and a 50-50 formula.
Yeah. CA is saying that he's requested a paper ballot in Pulaski County at the downtown branch. They say he can't get a paper ballot, but he can see the paper receipt going up the side of the electronic machine. how does he get them to give him a paper ballot?
Well, number one, I would go to the main
Board of Elections office?
election office. Don't let them tell you they don't have paper ballots. Now, they may not have them at your voting precinct. They may not. But they got to have them, because if the power goes off, if whatever happens, they got to have paper ballots. Make them get you one. Make them get you one, and don't buy into that. We'll show you what you get a copy of what it says on the side of the machine. That's fine. That may be what it says on the side of the machine, right? Mm-hmm. But then when it gets inside the machine and it starts tabulating, that doesn't have any. Who knows what that does?
Yeah. A couple other questions. What do you think about the possibility of Kamala Harris just being a Trojan horse to bring her in as president, even though she dropped out of the race so early because she couldn't even get anybody voting for her in the primaries?
I think that is, I'm going to say this is going to sound ugly, and I don't mean it to be. Stop thinking about, concerning ourselves about all these other things, all right? Stop worrying about it. If there is a master conspiracy of some sort, where she's a Trojan horse being slipped in, whatever, there's nothing we can do about that. All we can do about that is stop it, and the way we stop it is we make sure President Trump wins. Then she can't be slipped in anything. Don't worry about all the, just this morning, Mary Ellen kind of went through several things that are floating around on the internet. I mean, some of the most incredible stuff I've ever heard in my life. But that's the bad thing about the internet. On the internet, you can find somebody that has a web page that will put up most anything you can imagine. And then people will go and they'll read it. And there'll be a number of people that agree with it. And the next thing you know, we're divided. And when we become divided, we become conquered.
Now we've got some people in the hospital and concerned about being out in time for the election. So I just suggested in the chat that they request a absentee ballot and get that filled out, and the spouse can turn that in, can't he?
Well, what I would first try in a situation like that is I would get their names, addresses, etc. And then I would go and I would get absentee ballots, take them to the people, get them to sign them, and then you turn them in. It's a process very similar to what the Democrats typically do in nursing homes. Democrats historically will go in and they'll get the director of a nursing home, slip them some money, and then the director and some of the nurses or whatever, they'll go around to all the different patients in the nursing home, and they'll say, let us help you fill out your ballot. Well, these people say, okay, and then they say, okay, help me fill it out. Well, they don't know how it gets filled out, but the nursing home director takes it, batches it, sends it in.
Now in Maryland, the absentee ballot, that if anybody's assisting, the assistant has to sign the ballot as well.
So, folks, this is it. We're not going to get another chance. This is it. This is it. Now
I listened to a father.
I'm sorry, what?
I listened to a Father James Altman this weekend. He's a Catholic priest up in Wisconsin. He had the most incredible message, and it was worth listening to, folks. Father James Altman, Altman. And he said you can't be Catholic and vote Democrat. And the things that he was saying about the values that we hold dear to us and how important it is to vote, because if you don't vote, Biden gets the win and he doesn't care about our values. It was pretty remarkable. And he was, that somebody else I had heard last week said that the Catholic vote was really important, and that was part of helping Trump win in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, I just wanted to throw that in. And I want to reiterate what you said, that if we will lose if we don't do nothing. If we do nothing.
Right.
So,
guaranteed we'll lose.
And this is John Adams. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. And we've been sitting on our keisters way too long, not being involved. And like Pastor Ernie Sanders has said so many times, it's not that we're committing sin, but we are failing to do what's right. It's the sin of omission, or the failure to do what's right. And so that's really important with this election.
It truly is. Now, you're probably hearing that Biden's gone back in his basement or whatever, hiding out. Guys, let me tell you most probably what is going on. His campaign people are pulling him in so that they have from now until the first debate to help get Biden ready for the debate. And the way they're figuring it, and I can't disagree with it, they're having to say, well, is it better for him to be out on the stop, going around talking to 5 or 6 people at a stop, or is it better to have him come back in the basement, so to speak, and let's drill him and drill him and drill him until he stands a better chance of not looking like a fool in the debate. So they're obviously opting to get him beefed up for the debate. And as I told you, I can't disagree with that. He needs all the help he's going to be able to get. It's not that Joe Biden is not a smart man. He is. But he's not going to be able to deal with Donald Trump. Not on the debate stage. Not at all. Biden is a creature of 50 years of what he knows. And what he knows after 50 years is the way politics are supposed to go. The way everything's supposed to be handled. And that's why when you start talking about a Donald Trump, the businessman, not the politician, these guys get all twisted upside down and inside out. They don't know how to deal with it. But again, don't worry about Biden.
Yep.
Worry about you guaranteeing that your vote will be cast and your vote will be counted exactly as you turn it in. Now, any questions?
Well, there are 2 off. Oh, is Biden really fighting dementia?
I don't know. I really don't. And it's not for me to say, actually. I do know this. He's not really able to put a paragraph together without making some gaffe of some sort. That is troubling. You just can't imagine a Joe Biden coming up and squaring off with the leaders of China. They'll tie him in knots. And of course, he's in pretty good shape with China because, he got his son that job, etc. But most any global leader, I'd be concerned that Biden would not be able to fight as hard for us as Donald Trump does. Yeah. Any other questions?
Joe Rogan called for a 4-hour online debate. And Trump's accepted that?
Now say what?
A 4-hour online debate rather than an in-person debate?
Who's calling for that?
Says Joe Rogan called for a 4-hour online debate between Biden and Trump. Trump has already accepted the challenge.
Well, Trump would. I wouldn't particularly want that because if it's an online debate, what happens, the whole point of having a live debate with the two contestants squaring off on stage is so that they have to answer themselves. Now, you get them in an online debate, not knowing exactly how that would work, but get them in an online debate, and, for example, a question could be asked, and I assure you, Biden, maybe even Trump, would have a staff of people around them helping them get the right answer, rather than them speaking on the cuff.
Yeah. We have a couple off-topic questions. Will these people that wiped their phones, the 30 people, I think, wasn't it Mueller's team that wiped their phones, will they get away with that?
Yes.
Wow.
Now let me explain why so that there's no confusion. It is not uncommon. It is not against the rules or the law. But when people are assigned a case, like Mueller's people were, they're given a phone, a government phone, to use while they're working the project. When the project's over, generally what happens is they scrub those phones so that they can be repackaged and given to somebody else or another project. So don't think necessarily anything nefarious having to do with that.
Okay. What about the 14th Amendment? There are a lot of people calling for Trump to use the 14th Amendment to remove traitors, but the question was, will the military leadership that Obama put in, by taking good people out, would they even support the president with the 14th Amendment?
Well, no, number one. And number two, we keep going back to this one problem. President Trump cannot stick his head outside his door and say, okay, that person, and that person, I hereby declare them traitors to the United States of America, and so therefore I want them out of here and I want them prosecuted. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. The president could stick his head outside the door and prepare a draft, a document to submit to Attorney General Barr, and in that he might request, and that's all he can do, request that a serious investigation be conducted because of, this, and this, whatever the reason is that he feels they have betrayed the country. Remember, the president can't indict anybody. The president cannot, on his own, prosecute anybody. If he can, if it's possible he could do that, then shoot, he's a dictator, and why go to all the trouble? If he doesn't like somebody, just line him up, call him a traitor, and shoot him. That is not America. What you
That's Pam loves the fact that you said that away.
got?
She's just tickled at your Nicholism, Larry.
Oh. Well, folks, I'm telling you, this is the day we've all been waiting for. This is the day when we get to suit up and engage. What we have to be careful of doing, we need to be careful and not get so involved with some greater task that we couldn't manage anyway, that we have no control over anyway. Stay focused on that which you can do. Do that which you can do. Help those around you do what they can do. Don't get caught up in all this other stuff. Please don't. We don't have time. We just don't have time. Any other question?
No, sir.
Well, I want to give you all another little tip. Marilyn and I talked about it earlier today and decided not to tell you, but I've decided to change that. I'm going to tell you. One of the tricks we used with Bill Clinton over and over and over again, we would always have polls showing Bill being behind. And oh Lord, the sky's falling. Bill Clinton's losing. Bill Clinton's losing. And then all of a sudden in the last week and a half before the election, you have another poll or a bunch of polls that come out, and all of a sudden he nudges ahead and he takes the lead. And what you're doing there is you're getting momentum. You know, people don't want to feel like they're wasting their vote. So if they think President Trump's going to win, you'll be amazed at the number of people that'll vote for him because they feel like, well, if he's going to win, I want to vote for a winner. That's the trick. Now, having told you that, see if you don't see the similarity in what is going on with President Trump and all of these bogus polls. Does anybody kind of get a hint to what I'm talking about?
Well, all we ever see is polls that are mostly polling Democrats and showing that Biden's ahead.
Well, that's right. But I ask you all to think about this. What if, just what if, that was a trap being laid by President Trump for the media and Biden and the Democrats? Wouldn't that be something? You see, because if you work for Clinton, it'll work for him. And to prove it works, you got to take Hillary's race against Trump. Hillary was too cool. She would not use our system. And by the fact she didn't use our system, guess what? She lost. Trump is a businessman. Trump understands marketing. Most politicians, even though they may be lifelong 50-year politicians, that doesn't mean they know anything about marketing. It doesn't. That just means, in most cases, that just means they know where to go to get stroked, and they know who to give what concession to so that they keep getting reelected. President Trump's not that way. He's dealing with street smart. He's dealing with marketing. And I'm just telling you, wouldn't it be something for you to kind of tell your friends about now that maybe they should start looking towards about, well, let's just say 2 weeks to 3 weeks to election day, they ought to start looking at the polling data then. Wouldn't it be something if all of a sudden Trump jumps out ahead of Biden? You see, I don't think Biden would be able to recover. He's not that quick. He's not that good. I need y'all to hold it together, please. We're going to win this thing. We're going to win it. Now, we're going to have to work. We're going to have to work at it. But it's doable. Very, very doable. Has anybody got any questions?
Nope. Oh, wait a minute. I think there was one more. I have to scroll back up. Give me a sec. I think there was, well, you might want to explain to Nick why we don't need a bloody revolt and why voting will work.
Well, let me give you an example. Most all of you know about the two law enforcement officers that were shot over the weekend in LA. Shot. Guy walked right up to the window. They were sitting in their car, walked up and shot him. Then when the ambulance comes and takes them to the hospital, here was Antifa, BLM, and all of those groups blocking the emergency entrance to the hospital, keeping these people from being able to get in. And they were chanting, we hope they die, we hope they die. Folks, that's what we're dealing with here. Can you believe there would be Americans in 2020 that would block somebody fighting for their life from being able to get in the emergency room and then stand in the street hollering, I hope they die? That's our enemy. That's our enemy. But you'll notice MSNBC, CBS, ABC, none of those people consider them the enemy. So then you get down to, well, what about a revolution? Guys, I keep going back to this over and over and over and over and over again. Who are you going to shoot? Who are we going to fight? The enemy is us. The enemy is us. We're the ones. You, me, all of us. We're the ones that are the problem. Not that band of creeps standing out blocking emergency entrance. They're able to block the emergency entrance and scream at the police, I hope they died. They're able to do that because we don't heretofore stop them. We don't say anything about it. Who are we going to shoot? See, it's hard to face reality sometimes. But I have tried very hard all these years with y'all to deal nuts up, straight up, hard, cold reality. Because I don't want there to be any confusion. The enemy's us. The enemy is us in days past. The enemy is us in years past when we thought we didn't have to do our job to be vigilant and to watch over the greatest nation on earth. We didn't think we had to do that anymore. We thought all we had to do was just vote once every 2 or 4 years and hey, we were done and go back to our way of doing things. Now we're having to wake up for that.
Yep. And the division between in our camp is just hurting the cause so terribly. The other side's so united, and we're not.
Well, let me tell y'all something. Just a little bit of it. Another little inside tip. Y'all ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
The enemy camp, the Democrats, the Biden people, they're no more unified than we are. Matter of fact, if you went to any of their meetings, if you heard them talking in any of their conference calls or whatever, you'll hear them saying the same things that we're saying to each other here.
Really?
Yeah, really. You see, we all create woolly boogers. We create these monsters that go beep in the night. And all it is, we're just looking for some excuse to fail. That way, if we got an excuse to fail, then it's not our fault if we fail, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was listening to Dave Daubenmire this morning, and he was saying that somebody had told him that most people don't win games. It's what you fail to. Games are lost, not won. The question is which team's going to lose because of a mistake they make.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's what we fail to do that causes the loss. It's the mistakes we make that cause the loss.
And it's what we have failed to do in years past that has gotten us where we are today. But thanks to the grace of God, we are given one chance to redeem ourselves. One more. Now, that means we've all got to suit up. Ain't nobody going to sit this one out. We all going to suit up. The enemy's us. So when people come to you and say, well, boy, we need a revolution, I would simply ask them the same thing that I just said here. Who you going to shoot? Who? Oh, I get it. Let's see. If you listen to the BLMs and the Antifas and the Al-Qaedas, which are the same thing, and the de Blasio and all these other Democrat, this, that, and the others, it's us. They're right. It is us. But they suffered the same problem. It's just that they were quicker, smarter to take advantage of us than we were. You see, we're the Republicans and moral Christian conservative. We're supposed to be the good guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't get up in the morning thinking, oh gosh, how can I screw the American people today? How can I beat the American people out of money today to give to my kids, my grandkids, whatever? We don't get up thinking that way.
Mm-mm.
They do. And yes, some Democrats really believe the junk that they're trying to get passed over all of us. There really are some. But see, if you don't understand political speech, you're missing a lot of the show. For example, today here was Bernie Sanders, excuse me, sounding like he was giving Joe Biden some really great advice, right? He said Biden needs to talk about what he can do, not just go after Trump all the time. And then he said something you had to be pretty quick to pick up. He said Biden has some great plans for the economy and health insurance, etc., and he needs to promote those things. Does anybody catch the little political speak trick there? Gotta be quick.
That he has a great health plan that he failed to get through before?
Well, no. What you're seeing is Bernie Sanders, who's frustrated. You see, he pledged his support to Biden. Biden pledged to help Sanders, get his agenda through. And so now Sanders feels like that Biden's getting too involved with Trump and all this other stuff, and he's not pushing forward with the Bernie Sanders agenda that he and that AOC or whatever it is, he wants Biden to get back on promoting that stuff. And it's slick. And it's neat. You just got to know how they talk.
Wow. Well, the questions are coming fast and furious, but we've been in just about it.
Let's take them.
Well, the last one is, why is Pelosi holding up the vote for the second stimulus package? Doesn't she care what happens to the American people? Other people are going.
Yeah. Here again, she is willing to hold up the stimulus package on people that are just begging to get $300 a week to help augment their unemployment or whatever they're able to draw, because they're still not able to work. And she's willing to let those families starve just so that they can make Trump look bad. Oh, and don't worry. Come closer to election time, they will do everything in their power with the mainstream media to make it a big deal of why all these poor people aren't able to get their $300 a week, and they're going to blame it on Trump. They're going to blame it on him and get by with it. What else you got?
Will Hillary replace Biden?
Nope.
No,
ma'am.
Will Gates and Fauci be arrested and go to prison?
Well, who?
Bill Gates and Fauci, Dr. Fauci.
Don't know. I doubt Gates will. There's a certain thing that I guess if you had to say, is there anything inherently wrong with capitalism? This might be as close as you'll get to something that might be wrong. In our nation today, some people can acquire so much wealth that they can hire the best attorneys, the best accountants, pay off the most politicians. I mean, you can just become so powerful that you're untouchable. Now, President Trump is starting to break that down, but it's going to take him another 4 years to do it. But as of today, it still exists to some degree.
Well, here's an interesting.
But again, Bill Gates is not the problem. We are. Yes, ma'am.
Will Trump pass term limits for Congress if he's reelected?
What?
Will President Trump pass term limits for Congress if we reelect him?
No.
That's not his prerogative, right?
Right. I mean, he would. I guarantee he'd do it in a heartbeat. But he can't. Congress would have to vote term limits on themselves. And guys, I don't care if you put in 10-1 Republicans to 1 Democrat. That ain't happening. They're not going to put term limits on themselves.
Yeah. So we got a couple of people very frustrated at the lack of seeing anything being done by Barr and Durham, whether it be pedophiles or the politicians or whatever. Will we get to see any action?
Let me answer this very simply. Excuse me. People are getting very frustrated because they're not seeing anything happen quick enough with Barr and Durham. Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
All right, now my answer is this. How do y'all know nothing's being done? What little birdie have y'all got inside the Justice Department that I don't have, that's higher than the one I have? What little birdie have you got telling you that?
Well, you know the answer to that is nobody's seeing anything being done. We can't see it, so therefore it couldn't possibly be happening, right?
Well, that's not true. Under law, Durham could be, as Barr could be, they could be issuing grand jury subpoenas left and right. Now, when Obama and Biden and all these other creeps were in office, yeah, Comey and them, yeah, I mean, you know, when somebody was being brought before a grand jury, they made it public. It's not supposed to be. That's illegal. Remember, grand jury is sacrosanct. It's supposed to be secret. Nobody's to know who's being brought before it. Nobody's to know what it's about, when it is, etc., etc., etc. So don't think just because you don't know something or know of something, don't think that that means there's nothing happening. There's a very solid case to be made for the fact that there could very well be stuff happening. It's just the public is not privileged yet to know. And remember what we've talked about months ago. For Barr or Durham, either one, to indict, they got problems. They've got to find a court to get into where they can be treated halfway fair. It does us no good to get these people indicted, take them to court, and go before a court where it's crooked. We lose, they win. So there's a whole racket, I guess you'd say, having to do with law that dictates what's going on or not.
And the problem is that we just don't understand the law well enough to understand why it's taking longer than we expected.
Well, part of that is that. The other part of the problem is, here we go again, part of the problem is we want something to happen right away in time to help in this election because, gee, that would help us win the election, right?
Yeah.
Well, see, there we go. Trying to take the easy way out again.
Will Trump invoke the Insurrection Act?
Don't know. Would not surprise me, but I do not know.
Yeah. Now, Gloria, Trump has appointed a lot of conservative judges, but there haven't been many replaced yet in D.C. and Southern New York.
Right.
So
yes, he had replaced a lot of federal judges throughout the land. But in the D.C. court and in the Southern District Court of New York, those judges are hard to get to. He can get them next. If he wins, a lot of that will be corrected. But he could not do it right now for fear of it looking political.
Yeah. All right, folks, now that we've got 130 people here, you can see over my shoulder a wreath that I made. It's a real snazzy one. I'm sorry, it's going to get a little fuzzy as I'm trying to get it focused there for you. Anybody who puts in at least $25, any multiple of $25 For every $25 you put in, your name's going to go into a glass bowl. We need to raise $1,000. Actually, we need to raise $1,900. And let's get that done. And I'll mail this to whatever name gets drawn out. But you got to put 25 at least in the kitty to get your name in there. And if you donate 500, you're going to get your name in there 20 times. So.
Well, listen, guys, just so you know, I mean, I hate to go back and ask again, but I've got to. Just got to. I've been 7 months racked up, and Mary Ellen can tell you I can't even walk across the room right now, but for all those that thought we were faking it and it was all whatever, well, now you see we were not, and unfortunately I paid a hell of a price. So that everybody could see, yes, there's a lot more to being sick than even I told you. But I've got things that have got to be covered on my part of the, whatever you call it, copay, etc. And it's stacking up big time. Big, big, big time. You ought to spend 3 months on an event. Just take a look, see at the cost.
That's a lot.
Is anybody out there willing to kick it off? Hello? Somebody kick it off. We got anybody else in the 100?
Shall we do an auction here, folks? What can anybody throw in and match? Takes a while for them to type in. I know Pam said she's going to put something in today, so she'll have to get off to do that.
There's a gentleman in Brussels, and I'm sorry, I can't remember your name. I have been through probably 7 months of hell. I'm lucky to remember anything. It was Brussels, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. I sure wish you'd get in touch with Mary Ellen. We need your help desperately, please.
And Paul, Larry doesn't know who QAnon is, so.
Doesn't know what?
He's asking, is QAnon an Antifa operation? And I said, you don't know who Q is, so.
I don't know who Q is, and I don't even care. I just know he's wrong about 90% of the time.
Yeah. All right, folks, this is the end of the time. Larry needs to get off. Can anybody? Julie's putting in 25. Can somebody match that?
Thank you, Julie. Thank you.
Let's see. I got to
now
write that down.
Tomorrow, remember, I'll go on with Jason, and I get confused. Do I go with him first, then us, Russ, and then him?
Well, I'm not going to put anything in for us tomorrow because Jason got upset with me, and until you work that out with him, I'm not going to put a show up for tomorrow until I hear something with you working stuff out with him. So
Okay.
Let's just skip ours tomorrow so you don't overdo it. And we're just going to have Larry on with Jason tomorrow. Scott's putting in 30.
Thank you, Scott.
And Scott, if you need to do that with Western Union, you know how to do that. Just send me the tracking number and I'll go pick it up and take it over to him.
Come on, folks, please help. Need it desperately. Urgent. Well, I'm going to drive off. I'm just certain. And
okay.
I'll leave it with you, Mary Ellen, and all of you. Tighten up. Get ready.
All right, guys. Thanks, Larry.
Engaged. All right, dear. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, all of you. See ya.
All right, bye. And also, folks, remember that we do have Larry's book, and that's $26. So if you haven't gotten the book and want the book mailed to you, just send a text to me. That number is 240-499-6729. I'll mail it to you. Larry does have 2 books at the house to sign, but he's been in such bad shape that I was shocked at how bad. When we autographed books 3 years ago, I saw his hand shaking badly. I mean, he could just barely sign his name 1 or 2 times, and then he'd just have to stop and wait. And it's a whole lot better than that. Thanks, Selena. So I don't know what we're going to be able to do autograph wise with Larry's autograph. All the books have been autographed by me. I do have stickers that he autographed, so I could put an autograph sticker in there. Is Adam Schiff QAnon? That's pretty funny. I like your smiley face there. There've been so much the speculation about Q is about as bad as Christians speculating over who's the Antichrist. Ay. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. If you put in at least 25, let me know. Text me so that I know to put your name in if you want to be part of the drawing, or forget it if you don't. And I know Pam said she was going to send something, so I just need to know how much, Pam, so I know how many tickets to put in for you. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. We've gone 1 hour and 12 minutes, and I got things I need to do. I need to go get registered to vote, so I'm going to take off and do that right now. And text me if you need any alternate ways other than PayPal to send any money to Larry. We can do Zelle, we can do checks in the mail, but not to Larry. The check has to be made out to me, and so I have to tell you how to do that. You can send it. Larry's address is on the website, nicholslive.com, and you're welcome to send cash in the mail to him. Of course, he needs the money ASAP because his chest is hurting and he needs to go get some treatment, and he can't go in without having some money. So that's fine, Scott. Just text me the tracking number and I'll go pick it up. All right. That's it for now. So thank you all. God bless you. Let's say I was telling you we could do Zelle, we could do Western Union, we can do Walmart to Walmart. What are some other ways? And then a check would have to be made out to me. So, all right, thanks. And we'll just do Jason tomorrow and be back with you Wednesday. God bless you. Bye-bye.